tell you, Helheim here is really starting to make my skin crawl. I've really got to start figuring out a way to get out of here. I do feel like I am getting somewhere though, and we are definitely working our way out of this realm. In the last episode, to help out with all of this, well, I gathered sustenance, made trades with a god, became one with my dwarven ancestors, and even made use of Alfheim's technology by getting myself a bookworm. But today, things need to change. I need to get stronger. But in order for me to get stronger, sacrifices must be made. And so we must harken back to our manuscripts, and where we find out that we are going to need to use a blood altar. Somehow, even this incorporation I am is able to draw out the power within my blood. A blood altar will allow this power within my veins to convert, transmute, and break down several new items. Using a blood orb, I can create a network bound to my own blood that'll prove more useful the stronger I become, especially once my real body is fully restored. So we must craft ourselves a blood altar, and of course a sacrificial knife, and I must lay this down. And as you would expect one must do, one must sacrifice. Sacrificing a little bit of my own life essence each time. And to make a blood orb, I'm going to need at least 2,000 life essence inside of this altar in order for me to be able to craft this. And thankfully, last episode we made this delicious food, which helps tremendously with this process. With the 2,000 in here and the blazing quartz that I ended up making last episode, we can use this in the blood altar to transform it into an orb after it has consumed all of the life essence required for the craft. And there it transforms. And we now have ourselves a blood orb. We do, however, need to click it and right-click it to bind it to ourself. And so once I click it some more, it is going to start storing life essence inside of it. And we can fill this even more with life essence and place this in, and it will also start to refill our network that we'll be able to, well, see more about later. Some new things that we get that could help with all of this, by the way, is the fact that we now have unlocked some special nodes that we can invest points into. And you can see right here, we do get extra blood from our self-sacrificing, which I think might be worth putting points into. But man, seeing all of the other cool things that we can spec our points into, I just don't know if this is worth it yet. Some other things it mentions though is health patches. Storing my blood into wool will prove a useful method of healing if I ever find myself in a pinch. And for this, we only need 1,000 life essence in order for us to make one of these. And wow, that was incredibly fast. And this just heals me? Oh, well, that is definitely useful. So that way I can continue just healing myself. And this has so many uses on it. Oh, this is nice. So many things that we can now make inside of this blood altar. For example, we can make some rich soil. I can utilize my own nourishing blood as a foundation for the growth of various crops without needing any water. A wise Midgardian once advised me that crops need light to grow. Since Helheim has no natural light sources, I need to provide my own. I'll just take a little bit of this, let that get consumed up. Ah, perfect. And now we have some rich soil in which we could also, by the way, make more of. Yes. So this is kind of interesting. This farmland, rich soil, doesn't require water. Very interesting. And I know you can till this, and it should also give some bone meal effects. So I've now replanted our original crops, and yeah, I can still grow them here. But now we can get rid of this ugly random dirt. Now, taking this little side quest, we can get ourselves a blood sapling. The roots of life derived from my blood will have many special abilities. Each new blood tree will create within itself a blood core, and its leaves may sometimes drop blood apples when harvested. Blood cores can proliferate saplings to nearby dirt blocks and will regrow blood leaves surrounding it. I'll need a silk tool to move these cores. This sapling, by the way, is going to cost over 5,000 life essence, but this might be super worth it. Beautiful. I now have myself a blood sapling. Thankfully, these do have an equivalence value, so I am able to technically make more of them. So I'm thinking maybe 2 of them, if I can get them to grow. Oh, that is beautiful. So apparently harvesting these, they have a chance of dropping a blood apple. Ah, there we go. Okay. And whenever we eat this blood apple, it regains hunger, saturation, and also grants 200 life points just to the pool. Okay, interesting. That put 100 in there. It looks like it does 100, at least as of right now. And so this is the blood core. And if I activate it, spreading enabled. Oh boy. I notice leaves are regenerating. So yes, with both of these activated, they do start generating leaves, ultimately creating another unlimited kind of food source. Something else I noticed, it also regenerates the logs. Now that's pretty cool. And even if you're fully saturated, by the way, you can still continuously eat these apples, making it technically a way, once you've gotten the sapling, to never have to poke yourself again. Now what's that, Vet? Uh-huh. Potions. Right. What about potions? Well, we can actually start making potions with the potion brewery. Potions are another dwarven technology that could prove useful, but without access to water, I'll have to come up with another method for brewing them. You can use water from jelly beans as a replacement for water bottles, and fire essence as fuel instead of blaze powder. To make jelly beans, we're going to need some solidified experience, which I did notice some of the mobs are dropping, but we also need amaranth. But we should be able to buy amaranth from Freyr, which we definitely are, and then just simply plant it and harvest some of it. Now, I don't have a whole lot of this solidified experience, so I'm going to make do with what I currently have, place these things all in here, and then I think what we're going to need is to just let this cook. Yeah, just let it all cook up. And I mean, a little bit of this experience goes a long way. This is an entire set of bottles, technically. Make the brewing stand, we do need a little bit of fire essence, so we can get this crafted up. Perfect. Now we have the ability to make the brewing stand. Oh, this is perfect. Ultimately, it wants us to make some advanced potions of healing, it looks like, probably prepping us for an ultimate battle. As it says, by inserting a dread shard into the brewing stand, I am able to create an effortless potion base, which I can infuse other ingredients into. And to make a healing potion, I am going to need a melon seed. So yes, another purchase. Thankfully, we can grow these pretty quick, and hopefully it will end up growing a, there we go, a melon. To make this a glistening melon, though, is not super cheap, as that's going to cost us a cathodic gold. Potions are working a little bit differently here. We can fuel this with fire essence, place these in, and use jelly beans to start our basic mundane foundation. Now with our awkward potions, if we take these out, there we go, and we can start brewing up our healing potion. After these are made, we want to upgrade them even further by adding some glowstone. And with that, we have instant health 2 potions, which are pretty nice. And thankfully, as a reward, we get even more. But now on to advanced potions. For advanced potions, I'll need a more spacious brewing vessel, and the alchemist cauldron seems like the perfect thing. I'll need this greater potion of healing to summon hell when I am ready for such a challenge. So interesting, this is going to be useful after all. Now with the alchemist cauldron crafted, let's place this down and see what all we need for it to work. And it looks like we can just simply click the bottles in here, and it is only giving us 250 millibuckets, but we need an entire full bucket for it to actually function. And we drop in an amethyst shard. Oh, that's kind of cool. And it converts into a greater healing elixir. And I'm assuming we can just use a bottle to pick that up. Oh, that's perfect. And after doing this, we get given several more, which is good because there's no process more boring than brewing potions. Now, thankfully, with our greater healing potions tucked in our bag for safekeeping for later, we can move on to bigger and better things, such as getting stronger weapons. And how exactly are we going to do this? Well, we are going to need some willpower. And so I present to you Demon Will. Every being contains some amount of demonic will, no matter how holy, for there cannot be good without evil. A soul snare was created to extract the demonic will to use it for one's own ends. This primal form of demonic will only hold small quantities of will, so I will need to expand this vessel before delving deeper into the source of its power. And so I must create a soul snare by placing string into my altar and infusing it with, of course, some of my life essence. And I'm probably going to need at least 4 of these. With these snares, I can lure unsuspecting victims by simply snaring them and taking them out. And so long as they have the particles, they should drop their will. Now, will on its own is not super useful. We actually need to contain it first. And so we move to the Hellfire Forge. The Hellfire Forge is one of few demonic inventions known to the gods. It is the only creation I know of capable of directly extracting demonic will and imbuing it into other items. After using this, I can now expand my vessel into a petty Tartaric gem, allowing me to store much more demonic will. To make this Hellfire Forge, I am going to need a blank slate. So to be able to get this, I need at least 1,000 life essence, and I need to use this to infuse stone. Yes, much like you see here. And there we go. We now have ourselves a blank slate. And Hellfire Forge, get. Now I need to look through all of my wills and find the one that has the most. For example, this has 5 will in it. And this needs to go over here. And when it comes to making the Tartarics, this is where I do recommend making a few of them. You are definitely going to always need more than one Tartaric, because you use other Tartarics to make higher tier Tartarics, and that's a lot of Tartaric. For now, I'm going to make about 4 of them, and I'll keep the ones I'm not currently using in my bag, because now that we have one, we can drop our current will onto the ground, and when we pick this up, it goes into the Tartaric gem. This is good and all, but we still have to farm souls with snares. Or do we? Well, we could use the Sentient tools. My demonic will storage can be drastically increased by crafting larger Tartaric gems. These can replace the existing vessel I carry with me as they are upgraded. The Sentient Scythe deals full damage to all targets within its swing range and automatically harvests their souls upon death, while the Sentient Bow uses demonic will instead of arrows. By clicking Sentient Equipment will improve its functions depending on how many souls my Tartaric gem has collected. To get us started, we can at least make the Sentient Scythe. As to craft this, we only need 0 will, essentially, which makes this fantastic to get started with. This is, however, going to use up one of those Tartarics that we recently made. So I can go ahead and add the items required, and this isn't going to cost any will, nor does it have a max will requirement. And a Sentient Scythe we now have. Since we are making new equipment, it might be beneficial actually for us to also make these demon dream seeds. These are going to require at least 16 will. Just a simple wheat seed will get them. And this grants us access to a little bit of darker magic. I once heard about summoning spirits from the demon realm using a special demon seed. When thrown into flames, this crop converts into spirit fire, granting access to resources from the demon realm. Now 16 max will is what's required, and currently in our Tartaric we only have 13, and to be able to craft we would need it to hit 16 before we can even successfully complete the craft. But it also will tell you how many will it will use up upon that craft. So something to kind of keep in mind when you're trying to craft things inside of the Hellforge. And I can just simply start taking out mobs. I can weaken them down here with my other scythe. get them nice and low, and then fully take them out here to be able to guarantee myself more will. And we have 15 at the moment, and as soon as I take some of these out, that number will definitely go up. As you can see now, we have 17. Because we've hit that threshold, I can place this in along with a seed and let it craft. Yes. And we now have the Demon Dream Seed. And we just need to grow a few of these, craft up a flint and steel, and then we can throw this on the ground and ignite it to get Spirit Fire. And Spirit Fire alone has a ton of recipes that allow it to convert certain blocks into certain ones. For example, we can turn like stone and stuff into other stone, which is a great decorative item. And we can also make other world blocks by turning our runes into it. Something else we can do is re-infuse our inactive twisted rune stones that we got. And this will give us Unbreaking 2 that we should be able to reapply onto gear that, well, can accept it. The scythe just so happens to be a tool that, well, doesn't accept any enchants, it looks like. But we can do things like this, for example. Like I can just put Unbreaking on any tool here. Now I'm not quite done with our Demonic Will Soul progression, as I am going to need to get a higher tier Tartaric. And this one will store up to 256 will, which is going to be required because we have to hit the minimum threshold of 256 will in order to craft the incredibly powerful Sentient bow. To be able to even upgrade to the lesser Tartaric, we're going to need at least 60 will stored in our base Tartaric. So it's time to get to slashing. There we go. The Tartaric should be completely filled up now. Now, part of upgrading, we also need a block of amethyst bronze, and this can be made in our Tinker's Smeltery. Over to the Smeltery, we can drop in some copper and some amethyst shards and get those smelted in equal amounts. With it melted down and alloyed together, we select it, and I can now cast full blocks of it. I kind of wonder though, what uses does amethyst bronze have? Other than the fact that it could be used to make a Tinker's Anvil, which allows us to make more advanced tools. So good thing I made more petty Tartaric gems because these are definitely needed. We place in our Tartaric that has all of it inside, and then we level up. And now we have a lesser Tartaric. But how do we get the will from this Tartaric into our new one? Believe it or not, there's a way. And all you have to do is take your Tartaric that you currently have will in and shift right click, and it will drain it into the other Tartaric. But now the real challenge is about to start because I need to fill this with 256 will to be able to make one of the most OP starting weapons, a Sentient bow. Back in my skill tree, I do have 4 points, so something that could help with this is giving ourselves some bonus draw speed and selecting the extra demon will. And we can also do even more draw speed here and even more demon will up here, giving us 10% increase in the will. And then it is back to farming, as I am going to need significantly more will if I plan on making this beautiful bow. At this point though, I am sure my scythe won't be long for this world and I'll have to make a new one, but I am very close to having all the will needed. After that, I now have all 256 will. All that built up, I can throw all of the items required in for this, and we should be able to craft up the Sentient bow. I am so excited for this. We don't need arrows for this. It is just going to use... It's going to use the will that we have and to shoot the arrows. And it'll also generate will when it kills the mobs. So it almost kind of refunds it back. So now I can get rid of these pesky guys. Oh, at a distance. I don't have to bother with them anymore. All the Sentient tools done, I'm starting to feel a little bit more powerful. But surely I can dig deep and I can become even more powerful. There's got to be a way in these manuscripts. Oh, yes, perfect. With access to demonic will, mana can now be used to conjure spells, and I can use some magical ink and a scroll forge to write out any spell I'd like to use. The Alchemist Cauldron that we made earlier can also upgrade the magical ink into higher purity variants to create more powerful spells. And then using those scrolls to cast spells, well, isn't sustainable as they are consumed upon being cast. I will need to fashion a book to hold these spells inside. For now, a flimsy journal will suffice. Using an inscription table, I can slot up to 5 spells inside the flimsy journal. But I've heard of other magical books with more slots and varied effects. Creating this common ink is going to take very little will, but crafting up the Scrollforge, this isn't going to take too much at all. And now we are a New Age librarian. Get black dye needed for the ink. I can create some with charcoal, so I can grab a little bit of charcoal out of here, and then we can crush a little bit of this. Then I can crush the charcoal dust even further into black dye. With all of my ingredients and a tiny little bit of will to be able to make it, this should start producing some ink for us. We don't really need a lot of it, really. We just need enough to make our first couple scrolls. Now we can't forget to make an inscription table and also make ourselves a flimsy journal. And this is how we're going to, well, get our spells usable. But oddly enough, I've run into our first issue. We need byproducts, certain materials, to be able to also inscribe into the scroll. Something like Bottle of Lightning. Summoning a charged creeper via the summoning altar allows me to collect their lightning into a bottle to craft some lightning-based spells. So we need to get our hands on a creeper, and this leads us into getting access to a summoning altar. For the summoning altar, we need skulls. To make the skulls, we are going to use bone blocks and our own life essence to turn it into Grim Talic. And with this Grim Talic, well, we can convert this into skulls by just simply surrounding it with bones. So we'll take some of this, give it a good surround, and we now have skulls. Speaking of summoning, by creating a summoning altar, I can now bring forth specific beings from other realms to aid in my escape from Helheim. With this altar, I am able to summon passive farm animals from Midgard and a few other odd beings. But for the summoning altar, I need candles, and the easiest way to make candles is by getting access to tallow. And so a butcher knife is going to be needed. But I have to take on a very specific mob here, and that is the dreaded beast. Yes, this awful thing. We just have to take out at least one. Yes, and that will grant us some tallow. And thankfully, we can remake more tallow, so we don't have to sacrifice any more mobs. Finding our tallow with a little bit of string, and we can make some candles, in which we can use to craft the summoning altar. And there we go. I'm thinking for now, we can just place the summoning altar right in our little area. But now we have to figure out, how do we summon a charged creeper? Maybe we can do some research and find out what all mobs can be summoned. Oh boy, there's a lot. But there's the ones for cows, all wandering trader, all kinds of different stuff. Sheep, pigs, all kinds of different mobs. But here is the charged creeper. So I do want to bookmark this so we can actually reference this. So I am going to need a campfire because I need to place some charcoal on the campfire to be able to get ash. Then to be able to actually summon this mob once we've collected is to put all of the items in that go on the outside and then make sure the item that is up top here is the final item that goes in. So we click all of these on here like so, and then we can summon in the mob. And this is a charged creeper, so I definitely want to step back, because I do not want this exploding on me. But there's a charged creeper. Oh boy. And I would love to get this in a position where it doesn't blow up. And it has already taken some damage here. This is very risky, by the way. There are other ways that we could potentially get this thing positioned to where it doesn't risk blowing up in the base. Whew. But there we go. I managed to get 6 bottles of lightning from clicking glass bottles onto it. And with the bottle of lightning, I can now craft a bunch of different spells here. We have access to ball lightning, shockwave, and electrocute. I think one of the most powerful ones, though, out of this whole list is definitely ball lightning. And now we have ourselves the ball lightning spell. To inscribe this onto our spell book, we place it in the inscription table, and then we select what slot we want it to go into, place it in this slot, and then inscribe it into here. And by the way, you can get it out at any time, so don't worry about these being destroyed. They are 100% swap-outable and reusable. And now we have ourselves a flimsy journal, and all I have to do is right-click this to equip it. But then you have to worry about some keybinds. By default, I believe R is the key to be able to open up the radial menu to select multiple spells, but it is dependent on what keybind you set it up to be able to cast said spell. For example, for me, to be able to cast this, I have it assigned to F. And so with this spell equipped, I can just hit F to cast a ball of lightning and also strike lightning where the mob is at, which looks gorgeous. But notice my mana bar in the bottom right. That is the bar that is important and determines whether or not I'm able to successfully cast or not. And this is beautiful because it also looks like I am getting Malum spirits from using my magic. And so it's at this point that we could technically dive deeper into our magical field, and where we can spend a ton of our points in leveling this spell up, leveling its cast time duration and cooldown. There's tons that we can do, but something that I really want to do is increase our spell power, because I know by default, increasing our spell power by hitting this node, going up to the mana regen, getting these big nodes here, this is going to increase the amount of damage that we deal with our spell. But now I also want to reduce our casting speed. So if I can make our casting speed even faster, I also want to do that. And we can even take a point in reducing our cooldown reduction. With this, we should now be able to cast very often. And this is amazing. Another really useful scroll actually utilizes one of the hearts that we were given before, and that is the Blessing of Life. This thing right here could be quite useful, but there's also many of them. Fortify is really good too. So you know what? For right now, I'll do a Blessing of Life scroll, but I have another heart in here, so we can use this to try Wisp, which sounds really good. Conjure a projectile of holy energy that floats towards nearby targets and deals damage. That sounds very powerful indeed. You know what? Why not throw in another awesome spell? Definitely D&D's magic missile. Yes. Maybe for a final spell slot, we can use Icicle here. Yes. So now with all of these, we can start to try things out. So that just goes towards it, not super fast. Magic missile, however, that is kind of cool. Not as crazy as the lightning, because we're for some reason getting a bonus lightning effect. Maybe we can try the ice spikes now, which does apply a freezing effect, supposedly, and also pierces the enemies. I don't know, something about the lightning, though, is just feels better. Can definitely say, after all the work we've put in today, I feel significantly stronger. I'm still missing something. There is still just one more thing that I feel like I'm just not tapping into. That, my friends, will have to be something that we tap into next episode. But today was incredibly productive. We tapped into the power of our blood, unleashed demonic will, opened a mini flaming portal to the demon realm, and somehow managed to become a wizard. But even with all of that, we still must push deeper if we plan on defeating Hell herself. My eagerness to progress forward is only getting stronger. And if you also want to see that progression, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. And of course, without further ado, it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter that made today's episode even possible. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Mr. Daedalus. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so very much, and to all of my supporters, and to those of you who have clicked that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching.